I thought you was here to help.
You've been making the rounds all through the state. Get a chance to stop here in Houston. What's it like here?
Oh, it's great. I mean, this is one of the great cities, and not just in Texas, and all the country. And there's tons of great former students that are. I mean, the number is. I don't even know what it would be. It's a ton of them, but great players. We always got to make our presence in Houston. That's right down the road, so it's great to be here. It's always fun to get to Houston.
Even when you first got here, that was one of the things you said. How have you felt that's played out over the time you've been here?
Been good. I mean, we've made a lot of inroads in Houston and developing a lot of relationships. And I mean, it's a battle. I mean, this is a place that everyone in the country comes to recruit, and we're doing pretty well ourselves, though.
Obviously, Cullen Gillespie is, working out just across the parking lot. He was saying the other day that it was kind of that meeting with you that first time, saying, I want to switch to offense. Can you kind of tell us what that was like?
Well, he was that when I asked him to switch to offense. He was out there and he was throwing the ball one day, and I saw some skills. He was running and catching and moving so fluidly. You know what I mean? A lot of guys are athletes, but you still play on offense. You got to have a certain balance and body control and ball skills. And he did. And I said, you'd always been a linebacker. Why don't you come over and try it with us? And then, of course, it took off, and he just kept progressing and learning. He was a very intelligent young man and very blessed. And I think he'll do very well there. I really do.
What's it mean to you to see, him? He even admitted when I got to College Station, I never thought I'd be in the NFL. Now he's.
He did, and we had that conversation one day, and I said, well, and he was talking about what he could do, and I said, well, son, you could play in the NFL. And he looked at me, he said, really? I said, yes. I mean, you have the skill level to do that. And it's like it was a light went on in his head. Not that I put it, but it was there for him. And once it did, he just took off and went with it. And it's very rewarding. As a coach, you love to see the guys get rewarded. And listen, he loves everything about ball. I mean, he loves to work, he loves to train, he loves to run, and he's such a team guy. I mean, and that's not always the case all the time. I mean, this guy truly loves being on a team, and that's why I think he'll do well in the NFL.
How much more complicated that was recruiting with the 2 signing dates and the large number of transfers that are coming in?
Well, it was easier this year than it was last year because last year I only had 2 weeks before that first signing. It was a lot easier, but you have to manipulate it and you have to word it and you have to figure out when your visits are going to be and when to set your official visits. But most guys are taking it early. The big thing is now, do you want them to take the visit in the spring? Like we're still engaged. We got one more recruiting weekend we have this weekend, or do you want kids to take the visits in the fall? That part of it you still got to be very careful of because of when the signing date is. But it's changed it. I think it's for the good. I would even like to see it even earlier, but I think the early signing date's been good.
Were you disappointed that the NCAA didn't do anything about limiting the number of the graduate transfer rule?
No, I think the graduate transfer rule is fine. If a guy fulfills his academic requirements, I think he should have the ability to do that. I mean, the other things in the portals, I think that's where we have to get very consistent on when we're giving the passes and when we're not giving passes.
As you look
Coach,
go ahead. As you become more familiar with the state, what positions are the easiest to recruit in Texas? What are the ones?
I haven't found one.
that are more difficult to find people that you need?
Well, I think each year is different. I mean, some years you'll have an abundance of DB. Some years you'll have an abundance of receivers. Some years you'll have an abundance of O-linemen. Some years you'll have an abundance of I don't think there's any one thing that you never have. Texas has every position there is, but different years is as I say, your crop is different. I mean, that's just human nature. It is in farming. It is in this. I mean, so each year you just have to evaluate and see which one that you have to try to really dig deep to find.
I know they've always been hard to find, but like for instance, the space-eating defensive tackles or your big middle linebackers, not necessarily in Texas, but nationally, are those even more harder to find?
Oh, they are
because
because
teams are playing on the perimeter.
Exactly right. Well, but also you just don't make many of those, especially those D linemen. Guys that can run and are 300 and 320 pounds. Listen, good Lord, don't make very many of them that are capable to be athletic enough to run and do the things you got to do. I mean, it's just the way it is, and they're few and hard between. And the big problem is once you find one, everybody in the world's on him. You got to recruit him, and those are very tough.
After your first season, how closer are you to reach some of those long-term goals you mentioned?
Well, I think we are. I think we had a tremendous recruiting class. We'll wait. Again, we haven't even got all those freshmen just now got on campus, and we haven't even been able to work with them ourselves as a coaching staff. So, I mean, we're still in the infant stages of putting things in place, but I like where we're at. I love the attitude. Every report I'm getting back on this freshman class has been outstanding, and not just that all these guys are strength and conditioning coaches. Listen, we didn't miss on anybody. They all can play. But he said what they love is their work ethic and demeanor, and I've been very proud of that because that's what it's got to take. I mean, everybody's got good players, but their attitude and demeanor have been very good.
When it comes to the recruiting calendar, you mentioned you guys had visitors. You guys have visitors coming at this time of year. Before that wasn't the case. So how do you have to restructure your off season?
Everything. You have to restructure everything about camps and and your timing of when you visit, how you visit. I mean, it's a totally different than it ever was, and it makes it really. I'm gonna be honest with you, it makes it tough on coaches because there's a lot of family time that's been taken away that you got to spend with your families back in the day as college coaches that you don't anymore. I mean, it has become 365 days a year. I mean, all the time. The recruiting is nonstop. And now with the visits, you added 3 months, April, May, and June now. That's every weekend. Besides Memorial Day and maybe one other, we've had visitors here. So it's a strain. And plus coaches were on the road 5 weeks of that every day, 5 days a week out on the road. Then we come back to that. It's been tough. And that's going right after spring ball. So these coaches been grinding.
How much has the game changed? How much has the game changed since you just mentioned that you guys are just working all year round?
Well, I mean, the game of football hasn't really changed. I mean, listen, I mean, whether you spread, on all this famous running and all these things, it's a lot of single wing stuff that was done back in 1950. The guys today are just too proud to say that they think they invented it. All this stuff goes in circles and it goes around. It's all a derivative of those things. But the game has changed as far as the recruiting process, when the visits and all. That's what's really changed.
So will the defensive answers be found by looking at 1950 game film?
Maybe. You never know. I just throw a little bit better now, but hey, you can learn from every history of ball.
Did you ever think,
last one.
Did you ever think that you have to sign 43 balls? Did you ever think that penmanship would be such a big part of your job?
Yeah, well, it's kind of always people always say that. Is that a big deal to you? Well, you worry about when they don't want your autograph. That's when you're in trouble.
In light of everything we've talked about, how different is this year compared to last year?
I mean, as far as knowing what to expect, and I think more importantly, what our kids know that we expect. And I think that's where we've seen the biggest change. Like I said, in spring ball is everything perfect. Now we had guys banged up, but our demeanor and our attitude and our purpose of how we practice and the way our guys went about it was much different because before they didn't know. Now they understand and what the level and expectancy of what we do is and the high expectations we have. So from that standpoint, it's been a lot more fun as far as you don't have to teach it.